So in this video, we're going to finish up these stairs. If I were really building a new set of stairs in an oval pattern like this from a new construction standpoint, I would definitely, find a radius for this and make this an accurate kind of judgment. But if I'm working on a project where the house is already built and I basically just need to put together a model for a presentation, I'm just going to make sure that it looks good. So since we're learning SketchUp here, what we're going to do for this one is we're just going to open this up and we're going to use these lines that are on our material to draw our stairs from one point to the next. So I would say, since you're relatively new to SketchUp or maybe brand new to SketchUp, if you're watching these videos, it's a really good idea to keep your other your top face of your material or your shape highlighted as you go, so you can see that you're actively creating a line from one point to the next. I would also say it's really important to get nice and close. And I think, last but not least, it might be important to hide some of the stuff that's nearby so that you don't get confused by all of this other stuff. So I'm just clicking on these things and hitting H to hide them all. Now I'm going to get nice and close, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go from one edge to the next. Notice how close I'm getting, because I want to make sure that I'm popping from point to point that I actually want it to be. It's really easy to get something that to pop to a line that you don't want, or to pop to these edges or pop to these midpoints. So I would say get really comfortable with getting close and keeping this face selected, so that as you go down the line you see that you've got several separate individual stairs here. I'm going to do all of my stairs all the way up, and I've counted 16, it looks like 16 rise, and I have 11 feet to go up. So I did the calculation before this video, and that tells me that I basically have a rise of roughly 8.25 or something to that effect. Now I know that that's a little tiny bit unrealistic, that's a little higher than we're used to, but for the sake of this model, we're going to go with it. We'll just say that the house was built long ago when they didn't have the codes that we have now. Let me go ahead and just get my final steps here. So I'm going to carve out, and this is not something that should necessarily be super quick, especially since you're newer to this. I would say just make sure that you get it nice and take your time, and if you need to erase a line, go back. But now that I can see that I've got all of my faces dissected or bisected the way I want, I can go all the way down and see that I've successfully carved out each step. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my materials, because I don't want to be distracted by those anymore. I know that this is my landing, and I know that I've got to climb 16 rise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a line, and this is a new little trick here. Instead of actually push-pulling and using a number here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this line, and I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to go to divide. So I can actually divide a line into as many segments. I think it goes all the way up to like 100. I can divide this line into as many segments as I want, and I can actually type in a number for that, and it'll give me a segmented line that's divided. So I know that I need to rise 16, so I'm going to type in 16, enter. And what that's going to do is that's going to divide this line up into 16 equal segments. And I can use my measuring tape now to see exactly how big those segments are. And it's basically what I thought, 8 1/4. So if I select my tape measure and copy that down and type in times 15 or x 15, that's going to get me guides all the way down to the bottom. So I don't need this line anymore, so I'm going to double click on it and delete it. That line was just there for the purposes of using this, of dividing this up, so I knew exactly how far down I needed to push pull. Now what I can do is I can open up my stair shape, go to my push-pull, and just match it all the way to the bottom intersection of that guide. And I can do that all the way down. So I'm just going from one point across and matching up with the corresponding guide. And I got to do this kind of carefully because it's easy to pop to the wrong one. I might get a little closer here. So I've already gone. You can also do it at this point here. I've already gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just going to keep going. And I'm popping to the corresponding guides as I go. And I'm kind of keeping an eye on this to make sure that the rise is just about right as I'm going. So as I go down, I'm just clicking from one point to the next using my guides. And this will ultimately bring me to the top. There we go. Easy as pie. So the last thing I need to do is select this whole thing, and I want to get rid of these lines now. I don't want to see those anymore because those are not helpful. I'm not using them anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and I'm going back to my soften smooth, and I'm not going to bring it all the way to its most extreme. If I just start dragging it to about 20 or 20, 21, 22, that's when I start to lose those extra lines. So I'm just going to drag it to that point and close it down, and Shift D to delete those guides, and then U to bring everything back. And the last thing I'll do is I'll select this and I'll soften it and smooth it as well. So I've softened and smoothed my wall back down to what it should be. Close. Last but not least, I'm going to bring this material back so I can see what I'm doing again, so I can work. So you can see I've got that graphic still on there. I never lost it. I just didn't need it for reference while I was working. Okay? I would say that this right here is one of the trickier things we'll do in this class, only because I know that it's very, very difficult for some people, especially for all of us when we're starting out, to get that precise with each click and to navigate those kinds of movements, pushing and pulling up and down. But take your time with it, don't stress, and just be nice and calm and precise as you go. And you'll see that it is well worth it in the end, because you can start to make a lot more complicated shapes and you can start to deal with curves. And push-pull works on this one because you're really only push-pulling up and down. So you're push-pulling up and down on a straight face that is curved in plan.